What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. You guys, welcome back to Gotta Love Them Movies, your daily dose of movie news, a place for you to talk about the stuff that you love. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time, and you guys, today is a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. This is our live open discussion chat. Today we're talking about a whole bunch of different stuff. I haven't done a show. Oh, geez, yeah, I haven't done a live show since last Thursday, I think. This last weekend has been bananas for me, you guys. This last weekend has been bananas. I haven't been posting a lot of videos over this last weekend because my flight attendant job has got me. Oof. It's got me, you guys. Yeah, it's been a little nuts. It's been a little crazy, but hey, we're back. Yesterday was an absolutely gorgeous day in New York. So I spent some time out on the terrace, building a garden for Kim. We're going to be able to plant some vegetables, kind of grow our own stuff, hopefully over this next summer. And yeah, just kind of getting things in place and set up. I spent some time out on the terrace setting up the hammock, took it downstairs to be washed, and it's just it's just beautiful, you guys. Today is a good day. Today's a good day to be alive. Anyway, today's also a good day for movie news because there's a whole bunch of stuff, some thumbs up, some thumbs down, and some stuff in the middle going on. So let's jump right into it. But before, if you haven't done so already, my goodness, what's with my speaking voice today? Go ahead and subscribe to Gotta Love Them Movies. Doing so will help us to get more subscribers, and with more subscribers, the more watch content the channel gets. But the more watch content the channel gets, I keep getting to do this live and pre-recorded and stuff. And we got some changes coming up, as I've been talking about changes. Everything is up in the air right now as to the future of the channel, but don't change that dial, ladies and gentlemen. Don't change that dial. I think we've got some pretty cool stuff coming your way. And guys, if you want to contribute to the channel, if there's anything that you have as a topic, as a comment, as a question, any fan theories that you might have, send me an email at gottalovethemovies@gmail.com, and we'll make your topic or comment or question a main topic here on the show. Yeah, and spend some time chit-chatting about that. So anyway, without further ado, you guys, let's jump right into this.
What?
All right. If you haven't heard already, Disney's Black Widow, or Marvel's Black Widow, Disney's Black Widow, and a host of other movies have been postponed. Cruella, we finally got a release date. It's coming out in the end of May. But the big story here, you guys, is Black Widow. The big story here is Black Widow. We've been wondering if Disney was going to hang on to its May 7th release date. Well, it hasn't. It's been pushed back 2 months. Not only has Black Widow been pushed back by 2 months, you guys, they're also releasing it on Disney Plus as like a Disney Plus premiere film. So for an extra $30, whatever that translates to in the country where you're currently residing, $30 US American to watch Black Widow at home, or you can go out and see it in theater as regularly scheduled, with a 2-month pushback. So here's what I think about this. First of all, this isn't surprising. I think we've kind of figured that this was on the horizon. We kind of figured that something like this was going to happen. I think most of us were hopeful that it was going to hold on to its May 7th release date. And, we just came off of the heels of WandaVision. Now we just started Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then we were looking forward to, like, right after Falcon and Winter Soldier was going to end, a few weeks later, we were going to have Black Widow in theaters, and then maybe about a month later, we were going to have Loki debut on Disney+. Well, now all of that's changed. So Loki's still coming out in June, but now we're going to have to wait until July. Was it July 9th, I believe? July, hold on. Let's jump into this article here at Deadline. They have it all listed out down here at the bottom. Yeah, July 9th. Okay, yeah, I was right. Coming out July 9th. Not the worst thing in the world. Not the worst thing in the world. But here's the thing, you guys. This poses, as this article from Deadline points out, there's some problems with this. Because it seems like Disney, like one of the other exhibitors that was interviewed by Deadline, and Deadline wouldn't say who the exhibitor was. It may have been Regal, it may have been Cineworld, it may have been Cinemark, it may have been Landmark, it could have been Alamo Drafthouse. We don't know who it was. But one of the other exhibitors said, or AMC, who knows? It sounds like, based on this information, it sounds like Disney doesn't quite know what they're doing right now. It seems like they're scrambling to try and salvage as much as they can. Here's what we know, you guys. We know that theaters have been shut down for the better part of a year. We know that they've just recently opened back up this month. What is this? Is this April? What month is this? Are we in March? Okay, open back up this month. In New York. They just opened like a week ago or 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles. We're going to have wider releases. And what I mean by that is they're going to open up the movie theaters a little bit more, hopefully, fingers crossed, by either April or May, so that we're going to be able to have like go from 30% capacity up to maybe 50% capacity. I say fingers crossed, but again, that all depends on if we can do that safely, right? So movie theaters are starting to open back up again. Having $1 billion movie on your hands right now isn't the most viable thing because, we're having a hard time getting people to go back out to the theaters. Tenet had the record with the highest gross for a while until what was it? Was it Chaos Walking? No, it wasn't Chaos Walking. Oh shoot, I can't remember the name of the movie. If you guys remember the name of the movie, it was $323 million. I think is what beat Tenet at the box office for the highest grossing film during the pandemic. Or no, I think it was Godzilla vs. Kong. I think it's projected that Godzilla vs. Kong is going to beat out Tenet. I think that's what it was. So even that is a very low number if you take into consideration non-COVID numbers, right? In terms of box office. I understand what Disney's doing. They're trying to widen their base, and they've also been very vocal and very clear about the fact that they're trying to make a larger concerted, not effort, but focus on Disney Plus. I understand this. I understand that this is where they're going. It's just so frustrating. Why didn't we know this information months ago? Like, they could have figured this out months ago, and they didn't. They let it just slide. They kept us like dangling the carrot in front of us. Oh, you're gonna get it May 7th. May 7th. Oh, just kidding. It's gonna be July 9th. And it sounds like that is going to be the final release date for Black Widow. We were looking forward to a big budget, big blockbuster, action, fun, good movie, and I have faith that Black Widow was going to be a good movie. As I spit all over my desk here, I don't know. I don't know what to think here, you guys. In one way it feels like, well, yeah, of course this is gonna turn out to be this way. In other ways, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we could have. I feel like Disney and their executives could have figured this out sooner and earlier, especially like after Kevin Feige put out his comments saying that, like, nope, we're committed to a theatrical only release. He was very clear that Black Widow was not going to have a Disney Plus premiere release, but now they are. Now they are. Everything is subject to change, and this is what we've said on the show previously. Like, in a COVID world, what is possible today was impossible yesterday. Things evolve, things happen, you know? I don't know, but what are your thoughts, you guys? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know what your thoughts about Black Widow being pushed back another 2 months. Do you think this is a good thing? Do you like that it's coming out on Disney Plus? And I'm sure many of you do. I don't know. For me, there seems to be there's this idea that if a theatrical film is also released on streaming at the same time, to me, it kind of devalues that movie a little bit. And I know that it shouldn't. I know that in reality, it doesn't, but there's this feeling that kind of comes along with it, you know, of devaluing the film. Anytime you get like a really good movie that just comes out on streaming, it's kind of like, you know, the 2020, 2021 version of like straight to home video. It's kind of like this straight to home video kind of feel to it. And I don't want these movies to feel like that. They feel like they're not good enough for a theatrical release, even if they are incredible. Sometimes it feels like they weren't good enough for a theatrical release, so we're just going to put it out on home video. And some of them that most definitely is the case. But with movies like Black Widow, I don't know, it doesn't it doesn't upset me per se, but I guess on principle it does. I guess it kind of does. I guess it is kind of getting to me. Anyway, like I said, you guys, what are your thoughts about Black Widow being pushed back 2 months? In addition to it being released on, or it's going to be released on Disney Plus Premiere. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know. All right, guys, let's move away from Black Widow for a second. Because there's some very interesting news. We're pretty much going to talk about DC and DC films all for the rest of the show. And one of the films that I was so ridiculously, first of all, excited for, and I loved more than any of the other DCEU films, was Shazam. I loved Shazam so much. It was fun. Like, the tone and the look and the style of Shazam is exactly what I wanted from a DC film. It was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously, but it also knew what it was. It knew what it was, you guys. And they were very blunt about it. It's Superman meets Big. That's exactly what that movie is. And it's fun and it's lighthearted. Yes, it has its dark moments too. But anyway, so today DC announced that Helen Mirren is joining the Shazam family. She's going to be playing the villain Hespera in the upcoming Shazam Fury of the Gods, the sequel, the follow-up to Shazam. Now, of course, this is going to come after the Black Adam movie. I think a lot of us were kind of wondering, like, okay, is Shazam Fury of the Gods, is that going to be in direct reference to Shazam meets Black Adam, and then they're going to have their big thing? Doubtful. Based on this casting, that is now doubtful. And there's a whole bunch of about this that we can peel apart. First of all, yes, it's possible that Black Adam may still make an appearance in Shazam Fury of the Gods. But let's also take the name for example. For example, let's break down the title of this movie: Shazam Fury of the Gods. Sorry, I was just looking at the live chat for a second. For those of you in the live chat, we're going to get around to your live chat questions at the end of the show, so don't go anywhere. We're going to address all of your live chat questions. Like I said, don't go anywhere. Shazam Fury of the Gods. Currently, there is no character, to my knowledge, if anybody can correct me on this, to my knowledge, there is no character in DC Comics called Hespera. As this article points out, Hespera will be, she is the daughter of, why? Atlas. She's the daughter of Atlas. And as I did like a little bit of looking up here, let me see if I can womp. Here we go, Hespera. I did a really quick check. Look up Hespera. Hesperides in Greek mythology is one of the nymphs, or rather, it's a group of sisters who play a bunch of nymphs. So in Greek mythology, the Hesperides are the nymphs of evening and golden light of sunsets, who were the daughters of the evening, or the nymphs of the west. They were also called the Atlantides from their reputed father, the Titan Atlas. So, as we all know, like, Atlas comes into play directly into the mythology of Shazam, because he has, hold on, let me jump back into this, the name Shazam is the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. Shazam, Shazam. So, if you think of Hespera as the daughter of Atlas, or as one of the nymph gods who is the daughter of Atlas, it's possible we're going to get one of the three. It's possible that one of those three nymphs is going to be Hespera, or maybe they're just going to kind of generically blend all three of the nymphs into one and just call her Hespera. Being that she is the daughter of Atlas, who has, in the comics, given Shazam, is part of Shazam's stamina, I think it stands to reason that Helen Mirren's purpose, yeah, she's, yes, Fury of the Gods. Okay, great, we get it. I think it stands to reason that Hespera's motive here is to maybe take back the stamina of Shazam. Or maybe she's just going to be one of the villains. Fury of the Gods. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Is she just going to be one of 6 villains? Think about this for a second. If she's the daughter of Atlas, and she's going to, I'm just theorizing here. I'm just completely theorizing. It's possible she is going to want to take back the stamina of Shazam. And if she does that, it stands to reason that another representative from Solomon will take away his wisdom. A representative of Hercules is going to take away his strength. A representative of Zeus is going to take away his power. A representative of Achilles is going to take away his courage. And also a representative of Mercury is going to try and take away his speed. It stands to reason that if, this is Helen Mirren's character playing the daughter of Atlas, that we very well could have a whole host of villains. A whole host of villains. I mean, it's possible that Shazam and Black Adam might have to team up to defeat all of these villains. Because don't forget, Black Adam's power comes from the same source as Shazam's power. They come from the same power source. So, I mean, yes, we're going to get a JSA movie coming up through the Black Adam, or rather buried within a Black Adam movie, kind of a JSA light, right? I think this casting, and not just the casting, but the announcement as to who the character is, tells us so much about this movie. But anyway, guys, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. Do you think I'm way off the mark here? Do you think I'm way off the mark? Or do you think that this logic tracks? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, keeping on with the DC Comics theme. One of the other movies that we've known is coming, is in the works, is Zatanna. And it's now been announced that the director of Promising Young Woman, which, if you have not seen that movie, Promising Young Woman, My good, starring Carey Mulligan and a host of other actors, fantastic actors. Bo Burnham, Alfred Molina's in it. Molly Shannon makes an appearance. Laverne Cox. It's a great cast. Adam Brody's in it. It's a great movie, and especially in terms of like the pacing and the style and the direction of the film, obviously, like Emerald Fennell, who directed it, just did a phenomenal job. Well, now she is being hired to write the Zatanna movie. Who knows if she's going to direct? I guess it's still on the table. I guess it's still an option. They may stick with her. They may not. Who knows? I don't know. But I think this could be. Now, if you're not familiar with Zatanna, think of, imagine like Doctor Strange's daughter. Zatanna essentially is, she's a stage magician. Her father was a stage magician. He taught her stage magic. And then when she kind of like reached a certain level of like perfecting her stage magic, then her dad was like, all right, you've perfected stage magic, but let me show you real magic. I'm a sorcerer. And she's like, what? And so she learned like sorcery type magic, right? And they kind of performed and incorporated that into their sorcery, but they incorporated that into their stage magic so they could have these incredible shows. And she kind of went off to become like, after her father went missing, she went on to become a kind of a celebrity in terms of stage magic, which is why she always has like the top hat and the cane and, the coattails and whatever. She looks like a professional stage magician, right? But she's also notorious for teaming up with John Constantine, whom, they got into a romantic relationship. Growing up, she was best friends with Bruce Wayne. She's very integrated into the DC lore, into the DC world. And every now and again, she, goes off on missions with the Justice League. And she was actually an integral member of Justice League Dark. If you're not familiar with Justice League Dark, look it up because it's rad. It's so cool. But yeah, so I could see a Zatanna movie. I actually would, when they announced this, I was really looking forward to it. I think this is a really great idea. I really like that Emerald Fennell will be writing the movie. Now, who knows? Like, this could be, maybe having Emerald Fennell write the script for this film could be a terrible idea. I have no idea. It seems like a great idea because Promising Young Woman was awesome. Oh my gosh, I love that movie so much. But who knows? Like, as this article from Collider points out, one of the follies of this is that, I know some people might like to see an original, like to see Emerald Fennell continue on doing original content, and that's fair. That's a completely fair and valid point. Catherine Bigelow is one of those directors who has been offered big comic book properties, and she's turned it down and says, no, I'm going to do my own original content. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I see this as a good thing. But maybe I'm overlooking something. Maybe there's something that I'm not seeing. What are your thoughts about Emerald Fennell, the director of Promising Young Woman, coming in to write a Zatanna movie? I think it's a great thing. I think it's a wonderful thing. But what are your thoughts? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know. All right, guys. Our last bit of movie news today. That we're going to cover something that a lot of us have been talking about. What is going on with the Snyderverse? There's the new hashtag going around. Was it release the Snyderverse? Something like that. Something like that. Which, yeah, coming off the heels of Zack Snyder's Justice League, it seems like it was a pretty big success. Now it was hit or miss with some people. It's not universally loved. I'm seeing a lot of mixed reactions on social media. But the vast majority of these reactions are positive. For the bulk majority, people like this movie. And they like what Zack Snyder did with the Justice League, like his vision of the Justice League, the 4-hour version. I still take my problems with it. I still have my issues. I still think it could have been a 3-hour movie and been a better movie if it was 3 hours, but whatever. But yeah, so Ann Sarno, Ann Sarnoff, who is the CEO over at Warner Media, had a few things to say about the continuation of a Snyderverse. Specifically, like this is a long article. You guys, in Variety. So if you have a moment, sit down and read the whole thing from start to finish. It's quite lengthy, but when asked by Variety, Ann Sarno had to say this about the future of the Snyderverse. She said, "We're always going to listen to our fans, but we're in the service of the broadest fan base, and we owe them an integrated, holistic strategy. We are the shepherds of the franchise, and hopefully when the fans see what we've got in store, they'll know that DC is in good hands across many different platforms with many different creators. We want different voices in the mix. For certain fans that want singular voices, they may be disappointed, but we ask them to be patient and see what we've got in store, because perhaps the newer voices in the mix will have just as compelling stories to tell. On balance, you of course want to listen to your fans, but we do want to stay true to our vision and our mission for DC and build that out." Now, of course, she goes on to say a host of other stuff about the Snyderverse and about upcoming movies and TV shows. And one of the other big announcements that she made in conjunction with this was that Jim Lee is kind of gonna take over like a Kevin Feige creative approach. Now again, there's a few things that I take issue with this. Jim Lee is one of the best comic book creators of all time. He's up there with the likes of Frank Miller. I don't know. How many times can you reinvent the wheel? Jim Lee is excellent at what he does. He is excellent at heading up DC Comics. But here's the thing. He's a comic storyteller. He's not necessarily a movie storyteller. And while those things are very closely related, they're not always the same thing. One of the things that makes Kevin Feige so great at his job is that he makes good movies first, and then he peppers in the comic book austere to those things, right? Jim Lee has never been a filmmaker. He's always been a comic book artist, an illustrator. He draws most incredibly, and he writes incredible scripts, I guess, for the comics. He writes great stories, and he's incredibly he's an incredible visionary when it comes to storytelling within comics. But he doesn't have a film background. Now, this isn't to say that Jim Lee isn't going to help steer DC films in the proper direction, and that he isn't going to create incredible content within the DC movie television sphere. But he also doesn't have the experience in the background that Kevin Feige does in making good movies. And that's the thing. The Marvel movies are good movies. Yeah, they're great comic book movies, but they're also really good movies. The DC movies have had kind of the opposite approach. It's to we need to make really great comic book movies. Okay, great. Let's focus on making good movies. And I feel like that was Christopher Nolan's approach. He was out to make a really good movie that just so happened to star Batman, right? Just so happened to star Bruce Wayne. Just so happened to star the Joker. And I think that was Todd Phillips' take as well. He just wanted to make a really great movie that just so happened to star the Joker. And same thing with Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman is one of the greatest. I think it is the best DCEU film ever made. I do, to date. Shazam, I think I like Shazam better. I think Shazam is my favorite, and then Wonder Woman is my number 2. But I do think that Wonder Woman is the better of the two films. Yeah, so with Jim Lee stepping in, they're going to be doing television, they're going to be doing film, and even though he's not going to have specific call and response when it comes to this is how we're going to do this movie. This is how we're going to do this movie, because he doesn't have producing or directing experience. His purpose is as an intermediary, as a really high up consultant, right? So in some ways, it kind of makes sense that they're going to have one central figure for all of the movies and television shows to go through as kind of like funnel cake it. But in other ways, I'm not so sure that Jim Lee's the right person for the job. Same reason that I don't think that Kathleen Kennedy is the right person to be a studio head for Lucasfilm. She's one of the best producers in the business. One of the best producers. But just being great at one job doesn't mean that you're going to be great at another. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, the other part of the story here is that the Snyderverse, and Sarnoff came straight out and said, it is no more. We're not continuing on with this. We have plans for a host of other things, and we really hope that the fans can get on board with that. In some ways, I do find this exciting. Like, yeah, let's branch out and hear new voices and hear what else you got, you know? Because we've been saying that forever. One of the biggest critiques of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is, okay, cool, but what else you got? MCU films have kind of become a little cookie cutter-ish in their tone, in their feel, in feeding into the greater whole, and they're starting to kind of break out of that a little bit, but that is one of their weaknesses. That is also one of the strengths of DC, of the DC films, is that they're not bound to this universe. They're not bound to this feeling or tone. They kind of get to do what they want, and I think that's really cool. But I think a lot of us are waiting for the interconnected universe that is having such a rough time getting going. And I understand. I'm one of them. I'm one of the people that says the Zack Snyder Justice League film was excellent. Again, it was too long. I think a 3-hour version would have been sufficient. But I loved it. I thought it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, I really would have liked to have seen what Zack Snyder's vision for Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 would have been as a trilogy of the Justice League films. It's taken me a long time to come around to Batman v Superman. I had a lot of problems with that. But it's taken time for it to kind of set in and kind of, for me to kind of be okay with it. I still think that the Martha, why did you say that name? Like, that whole MacGuffin is just terrible. It is so dumb. But if you accept the movie as a whole for what it is, as opposed to what it's not, okay, I'm okay with it. It's fine. It is what it is. And eventually, just the same with why am I blanking? The Christopher Nolan movies. Those were what they were. And the other films have moved away from them. And we will continue to move away from these films. They get to be what they are. We're not going to see the completed vision. I really don't think that we are now, especially after Ann Sarnoff's comments. But I don't know. Maybe there's still hope. First of all, what do you guys think about Ann Sarnoff coming directly out, the CEO of Warner Media, and saying, no more Snyderverse, period? I mean, like, anything is still possible in the movies. Anything is still possible. But Zack Snyder's universe films just universally haven't been overwhelmingly positive in terms of feedback. Some people love them to death. But, I mean, we also have to consider the fact that that hasn't been the experience for everyone. So, I don't know. I guess there's still hope, but when you're talking about like 0.5 percentage point of hope, I don't know. I'm not saying it's a fool's errand, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. But what are your thoughts about the axe coming down on the Snyderverse, and also Jim Lee being promoted to kind of head producer in the DC world, something like that? Anyway, jump on down to the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts, and we can have a greater discussion about this. Okay, you guys. Now we've gotten through all of our main topics, everything that we're going to talk about on the show today. Now we're going to jump in and take your live comments and see what you have to say about the things that we're talking about today, or maybe something new. Maybe something just dropped that I wasn't made aware of. Let's jump in and take your live comments and questions right now.
It's alive! It's alive!
All right, you guys, it is time to jump in and take your live comments and questions. And wow, looks like we got a bunch. So let's jump right in and do this. Nerd Zone says Crip is back and is now the Nerd Zone. Woo woo! Way to go, Nerd Zone, formerly Crip. It's great to have you back, man. I like that you changed. I like this new name. This new identity that you've created, the Nerd Zone. It's very evocative of like a lot of other kind of like YouTube channels and specifically what God I Love Them Movies is doing. It's the Nerd Zone, man. It kind of embodies kind of everything of what God I Love Them Movies is doing in terms of like, hey, let's create a place for people to. In fact, I think the Nerd Zone is a much better name than God I Love Them Movies. I will completely give you credit for that. Nerd Zone says, haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier yet. By the way. Is it good? The first episode is Yeah, so here's the thing. It's episode 1 of 6, right? And even though, it's an hour long, think of like your average movie. Your average movie lasts 2 hours. So if this is 1/6 of the story, this is like the first 20 minutes of the movie. Yeah, I get it. The first episode is an hour long, and I get it. Like it's creating it's establishing the characters and kind of where they're at, everything that's happened post Endgame, and I'm not going to give you spoilers because you definitely should drop what you're doing and watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 1. It wasn't the most mind-blowing thing. Like for WandaVision is a completely different thing. It's completely different. Whereas Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of stays in line with Captain America the Winter Soldier or Captain America Civil War. Like it has that same kind of feel to it, like that patriotic feel a little bit, but it's slower, it takes its time, and it filters through like character development. Where are they? What are they doing now? What are their problems? And even that, like it, especially with Sam Wilson, it creates this really interesting thing that I think a lot of us have thought about in the back of our minds, regarding how do heroes make money? And that's pretty much all the more, like, I know you haven't seen it, so I'm not going to go into more detail about it there, but there is a very interesting few moments with Sam Wilson that asks the question, how do you make money? If superheroing is your main job, you're retired from the military, where do your earnings come from? It's a fascinating question, and one that has never been addressed in the MCU yet, and so I like that they're taking the time to address that. I think that's really cool. Nerd Zone continues on. Also, I'm not that excited about the MCU anymore. I feel like it ended after Endgame like a true happily ever after. I kind of had a very similar thing. A lot of people are talking about comic book fatigue, and even though, I think I did experience a lot of comic book fatigue. I see the Keith Foster kid mention something. Keith Foster is a very close friend of mine. I know that Keith and I have had multiple conversations about this as well. But like after Endgame, it was the most epic of things. And, whether you loved it or hated it or you were somewhere in between, I was kind of somewhere in between personally when it came to Endgame. On the whole, I liked it. I didn't love it the way other people did, but there's no denying that is an epic movie. I kind of felt like I'm not necessarily done with the MCU, but I need a break. I need to be away from it for a while so I can miss it, you know? It was this huge buildup, and then we got Endgame, and then I was just kind of like, okay, I need to be away from you for a minute. And I think that is one of the things that COVID, or rather, I think the MCU has benefited from COVID because all of these other projects have been pushed back. And it has, through no fault of the MCU, has created a longing and a wanting for the MCU films. But, you know, I can also completely understand your position as well. And just kind of be like, you know, I feel like the MCU climaxed with Endgame, and that, I mean, what else do we need? Where else do we go from here? They have a ton of other stuff coming out. So, I'm kind of, I'm excited, for what is, sorry, my mom is calling me right now. She's trying to FaceTime with me during the show. Sorry, Mom, I can't talk right now. I'm doing a show. But yeah, I totally understand that. I can see how you would, feel like, because I think, a lot of people, Keith Foster Kid says, if it actually comes out in theaters, I'm fine with a dual release. I think you're referring to Black Widow. People who want to stream can, sure. The only thing that bums me out is that spoilers will be really hard to avoid. My goodness. I mean, that's kind of the same thing with anything, though, right? Like, spoilers are always really hard to avoid. Especially like when films have started coming out in Europe before they come out in the United States. I remember when Star Wars The Force Awakens came out. Like, we were all just so ridiculously excited for The Force Awakens to come out, and we're all on pins and needles. And a very good friend of mine who lives in San Diego I think he was posting on Instagram, and he's like taking photos, selfies of himself to post on Instagram and be like, hey, gonna go see Force Awakens tonight. He's got his Star Wars t-shirt on, like he was all excited for it. And just before he left the house to go to the theater, like, he's got his coat on, keys in hand, he's on his way out the door to go to the movie theater to watch the movie. And he's like, all right, you know, let me just check Instagram one more time. And somebody from the UK, because the movie had come out, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours prior to San Diego, somebody in the UK had posted the spoiler that, I think it was actually a screenshot of Han Solo being run through with his son's lightsaber. Totally ruined that experience for him. And that was before we had movies coming out on streaming, like big movies debuting on streaming. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's one of those like, we live in a world now where trolls love to spoil things for people. And it shouldn't be one's responsibility. It should not be one's responsibility to stay off social media until they've seen XYZ movie. But that's kind of where we're at, you know? It shouldn't be one's responsibility to wear a seatbelt, because everyone should be safe drivers. But the reality is that people aren't always safe drivers. And so we need to wear seatbelts. Maybe not necessarily because we're a bad driver, but because there's so many other bad drivers out there, right? So, yeah, avoiding spoilers. I mean, Keith, I know you personally have been off Facebook for a very long time, so you're probably much more well-equipped to handle a social media blackout than the rest of us, but I don't know. But it sucks. It sucks that that's the way it is. Nerdzone says, I liked the Gen Z spin on Shazam. As a Zoomer myself, they call us that. Zoomer? A Gen Z Zoomer. Yeah, so first of all, I've never heard the term Zoomer. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, so the movie Shazam was based on the comic. Oh, do I have it? Well, I have it. I'm trying to think if it's... Hang on. This is so unprofessional of me, guys. Hang on one second. I'm just gonna go grab a comic that's it's in the closet. It's like literally right over here. So give me 5 seconds. Okay, that was ridiculously unprofessional of me, and I apologize. Even more so that I left my post. The comic is actually out in the living room. I'm not gonna spend the time to go get it. But the Shazam movie is based on I think it was the New 52 version of Shazam that came out. It's pretty much the exact same storyline. You know, there are some differences. Between the comic and the movie, but it's basically the same thing. But yeah, Nerd Zone, I loved it. It's a great movie. It goes on to say, "Oh crap, JJ is producing Zatanna. We are doomed." Not necessarily. I mean, I've really enjoyed some JJ Abrams movies over the years. Also keep this into consideration. He's just producing. He's not directing. Probably, most likely. He's probably not going to be directing this thing. It's Bad Robot that's producing. It's not even necessarily J.J. Abrams. He is going to have his fingers in the pie a little bit. Yeah, maybe a little bit. But, we're not going to get the lens flares. He's not directing. We're not going to get the lens flares. And also, the movie is being written by Emerald Fennell. So I think we can hang back a minute. I don't think that this is terrible news. Yeah, and we'll wait for future information. Nerd Zone says, my fellow MCU fans are going on at me on TikTok because I like Zack Snyder's Justice League. Why can't people like both? Well, of course everybody can like both. Here's the thing about fandom, Nerd Zone, is that fandom, I love being a fan. I think we all love being a fan, right? Fandom means that you get to let your nerd flag fly. I love letting my nerd flag fly. As I previously read a comment from Keith Foster Kid. Keith and I, we've known each other for years, and we're part of a cosplay group out in San Diego. And one of the great things about nerddom, about fandom, is that we get to get together physically, outside of a COVID world, but we get to get together. We get to be together and enjoy these things together. One of the best experiences of my life. It's not going to rank top 10 best experience of my life, but in terms of fandom, one of the coolest things that I've ever done was I went to Star Wars Celebration 2016, I think. Oh, I can't remember what year. It might have been 2014. Anyway, whenever it was, some buddies of mine and I, the three of us, we drove from Atlantic City, which is in New Jersey, on the Atlantic coast, and we drove all the way across the United States to California in 2 days, which normal drive time, that takes a minimum of 3 days, but we did it in 2. We were driving all night. It was crazy. It was awesome. We get to Anaheim. We go to Star Wars Celebration. And one of the first things that we did, not one of the first, the first thing that we attended at Star Wars Celebration was we got to be the first people in the world to see the brand new trailer, not the teaser trailer, but the full-length actual first trailer for Star Wars Force Awakens. It was the trailer, if you remember, it was the trailer that at the very end we saw Han Solo and Chewbacca run into the Millennium Falcon, and Han Solo says, "Chewie, we're home." And everybody, there were close to 10,000 people in this arena. I'm not making this up. There were close to 10,000 people in this arena, and at that moment, everyone roared with this incredible cheer. And it was the first time that I had ever felt applause and cheer and emotion as like a physical feeling, as like a burst of noise being absorbed by my DNA, right? It was incredible. But one of the other things about fandom that sucks is that people are so opinionated. If you disagree with someone, they take that as a personal offense. It's a personal onslaught against against who they are. Because whether we like to admit it or not, the way that fans love their stuff is that, okay, so case in point, everybody knows how much I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've always been a TMNT fan. I probably always will be a TMNT fan. And with my love for TMNT, I get that not everybody has that same amount of love. But if somebody disagrees with me on something and says, "Oh, Turtles is stupid. Ninja Turtles is the dumbest thing ever," I could interpret that as saying Mike is the dumbest. The things that Mike likes are stupid. In ipso facto, I am stupid. So if you go out and say, "Hey, I really liked Zack Snyder's Justice League," there are people that exist in the world, and this has obviously been your scenario, where people will come at you and say, "You can't like that. That's stupid." And for some crazy reason that is unexplainable to me, there has been this weird division happen where fans say you can either like Marvel or you can like DC, but you can't like both. That is not even close to being true. That's not even close to being true. You can love both. You can love the DCEU. You can love Zack Snyder's movies. You can. And you can also love the Avengers movies. You can. You don't have to pick one or the other. And guess what? If you really like the DCEU and you just don't really care for the MCU, that's fine also. Just because you love something doesn't mean that I have to love it, and vice versa. It doesn't matter what we like or what we don't like. What matters is that we respect the opinion of the other person. Oh, you don't like Ninja Turtles? That's fine. I get a lot out of it. In fact, I actually wrote a one-man show about that I directed and produced and acted and starred here in New York. I explained how Ninja Turtles and why Ninja Turtles are so important to me, the life lessons that Ninja Turtles taught me, and how I was able to use those life lessons to combat like day-to-day bullying. Not just bullying, but like other, like Leonardo represents leadership. So when I was in the Boy Scouts, I had a fictional leader that was represented by the best. If you want to be a leader, here's an example. Look at how Leonardo conducts himself. Now, how can I conduct myself as a Boy Scout? How can what are these principles of meaning and how does that translate? But hey, if you just don't like Ninja Turtles, that's fine. If you hate Ninja Turtles, if you think they're the dumbest things on the planet, okay. That doesn't mean that my love for them is also dumb or stupid. It's completely different. Anyway, Nerd Zone goes on to say, if you didn't know, Star Wars is my life, and I love it more than comic book films, but Kathleen was only good at one thing, being Spielberg's assistant. Yes. Let me put a caveat to that. She wasn't good at being Spielberg's assistant, because she was not Spielberg's assistant. She was his executive producer. She was executive producer on the vast majority of Spielberg films, and also Star Wars films as well. She worked very closely with George Lucas as well, and many other great filmmakers. To say that she was Spielberg's assistant was to minimize her role in the making of the vast majority of the films that she made. She was brilliant. And she's won how many awards now? I think she was nominated for 8 and won 4. That ain't no small thing. Trivia question. How many Academy Awards did Alfred Hitchcock win? A big fat 0, my friends. He won a big fat 0. And that's Alfred Hitchcock. Kathleen Kennedy has won 4 Academy Awards. She's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant at her job and what she does. But yeah, I mean, to be the head of a studio is a completely different skill set than, being an executive producer on a film. So yeah, I agree with you. Nerdzone says she ruined Star Wars, but now the shows are starting to involve her less. They're not involving her less. It's that there's other showrunners. So like, on Mandalorian and the spinoff, the Boba Fett spinoff series, that is being showrun by Jon Favreau. That's Jon Favreau's universe. He still has to go through Kathleen Kennedy. She's still the studio head. So all final decisions still need to be run through Kathleen Kennedy. But for the day-to-day stuff, that's all Jon Favreau. And whoever they get to be the showrunners on all these other shows, they will also encounter the same thing. So it's not that she's taking a minimal or rather a hands-off approach to the TV shows. It's just her role is slightly different. But yeah, like I said, all the major stuff still needs to go through her. I'm sad that one of my British brothers spoiled The Force Awakens when it came out. Our queen and possibly dead king would be disappointed. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But it's not, I mean, just because it was, and I believe the guy was from Manchester, just because it was one person from the UK that spoiled The Force Awakens from my buddy out in San Diego, it doesn't say any negative. It doesn't say anything negative about those of you living in the UK. Not at all. I mean, how many jerks do we have living in the United States? A lot. And, there's same amount of jerks exist in Canada, in Russia, in Japan, in Germany, in the UK, in South Africa, in India. Like, jerks gonna be jerks. Trolls gonna troll, right? To quote WandaVision, Snooper's gonna snoop. They're everywhere. But yeah, I understand, like, one of your brothers in arms going out and doing something like that. Like, I can appreciate that as well. It just sucks. It just sucks. All right. Is this our last comment of the day? Hold on. Let me, just making sure. Yeah, this looks like our last comment of the day, you guys. Nerdzone says, by the way, if you don't know what I mean about the king, look at him going out of the hospital. What? If you don't know what I mean about the king, I thought you were referring to, who's the former king of England? Didn't he die in the 50s? Oh, hold on. Queen, possibly dead king, would be disappointed. If you don't know what I mean about the king, look at him going out of the hospital. All right, hang on. Bear with me, you guys. King of England hospital. All right. 99-year-old Prince Philip hospitalized. Hold on a second. Is this what you're referring to? 99-year-old Prince Philip hospitalized at the King Edward the 7th Hospital, London, England, British royal family. I don't think that's what you're referring to. Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Okay, hold on. Oh, yeah, maybe it is Prince Philip. British royal family news. So this was back in on February 17th. Says that Prince Philip had been taken to the hospital. There are new reports that say the 99-year-old royal has been admitted to London hospital as a precautionary measure. Okay, all right. I understand what you're saying. Prince Philip is but you're saying king. I don't know what's happening anymore. UK politics baffle me. I don't understand how the royal family works. This is another conversation for another day, you guys. We're just gonna end it there. Nerd Zone, thank you so much for your participation. Thanks so much for giving us things to talk about. And the same thing with Keith Foster Kid. Thanks for giving us stuff to talk about and just keeping us honest. Keeping us honest. Giving us stuff to talk about and expanding our conversations here, you guys. Nerd Zone follows it up, literally looking up King Philip going out of hospital. All right, Nerd Zone, send me the link. You know where to send it to. Gotta love them movies at gmail.com. Send me the link of what you're talking about. But until then, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for participating, being part of the conversation, giving us more stuff to talk about. If you guys like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what the possible dead King of England would want you to do. I don't know if that was in bad taste, but I figured I'd throw it in there anyway. You guys, I'm Mike Brown. We live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you happen to find yourself in a situation where you can offer kind words and make kind gestures towards other people, please take that opportunity. As always, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. I will see you guys tomorrow.